Hi, okay, so my name's Lainey, and I decided to choose two shows and actually compare the two based on the historical timeline as well as some of the sociological factors at hand. So, I guess first and foremost, I chose to talk about Modern Family. And I know that at the beginning of this class, we actually had a little discussion post where we talked about it, but I actually have grown up watching that show. I watch it every single week with my family. So I'm very passionate about that show. And I think it really correlates well to this class for a variety of reasons. One being when you think about Modern Family, it kind of breaks down all the different American households and how families can really differ. And at the beginning of this class, we kind of talked about what family means to us. And I think that Modern Family does a really good job at really showing the modern day American family and how there's so many different breakdowns. So I guess to get right into it, when you first think about, so Cam and Mitchell are a part of a same-sex marriage, and they actually adopted Lily, who I think they adopted her from North or South Korea. And it kind of just shows like where we have progressed in society and how we've become more accepting, fortunately, of same-sex marriage, and how even the fact that it's being aired on television is great because it shows that we've, advanced as a society. But it's interesting because not only are Cam and Mitchell a good example of how love in marriage has evolved over the years, but another one that I wanted to touch on, especially relating to this week's reading in particular, as well as the news about Millie Bobby Brown and her recent engagement to, I forget his name, but Bon Jovi's his last name. But her recent engagement to him, it actually reminded me a lot of, in terms of the backlash she's been receiving based on, the big age difference, reminded me a lot of Jay and Gloria's relationship, because Gloria is significantly younger than Jay. And a lot of times in the show, they allude to the fact that she is so much younger. And so I found that to be very interesting because it touched on the whole concept. And honestly, I related it a lot to what we were discussing this week about Millie Bobby Brown and how, as we've grown in society, it has been more, looked down upon for that big age gap. So that was something that I also wanted to discuss. Another thing that I thought was very interesting is not only the breakdown of, all the different types of American families and all of that, but also comparing. So this is kind of where my other show comes into hand. And so we've mentioned Leave It to Beaver in this class already, but actually I took a journalism class, I believe freshman year, where we discussed it, and we actually kind of delved into the concept of the nuclear family. And so where I find this to be very interesting is how much the American family has truly evolved over time and throughout history. And, it was post-war and all these families were coming together, and it's all about how, like, in the nuclear in the show Leave It to Beaver, the husband and wife, they kind of portray those exact ideals of what a married couple would portray, which is the wife stays at home, tends to the kids, and the husband is the breadwinner. And so what I find to be very interesting is how the two shows actually compare with one another. And so what I mean by this is that when you look at Modern Family and then you look at Leave It to Beaver, seeing that huge transition in terms of what a family looks like, I think is kind of the basis of what this class even is about, is kind of touching on how, based on society, based on the evolution of time, based on culture, it all has a different meaning to what family truly is. And I think that Leave It to Beaver and Modern Family are both very applicable to this class. And moreover relate to the central theme and concept that there are so many definitions of what a family can be and what a family is, and what I value in the show Modern Family is the progress we've made as a society, and we still have a long way to come. But I do think that, when you think back to the 1950s and when you think back to Leave It to Beaver, like, wow, now we're having same-sex marriage being aired on the show. And another thing I did want to really quick touch on is the concept of being single. And